up, you guys? It is Mike here, and in today's video, I'm gonna be discussing with you guys about a topic within the Yu-Gi-Oh community that I don't feel gets talked about amongst the majority of them, and it's the state of degenerate cards in Yu-Gi-Oh. And yeah, guys, I know this is a really weird time for me to be uploading a video on this channel. I just feel right now that today would be the best time for me to do so, even though I'm still working on the weekdays. So starting now, moving forward, I'm going to be doing my best to be uploading every Wednesday, every Friday, and hopefully every weekend when I can find the time. So if you guys are excited to that, then definitely give this video a thumbs up, because it really does help me keep myself inspired and going to make more videos like this. So yeah, guys, this is going to be a new series I'm going to be starting the channel. If you have any suggestions on what I should call this, let me know in the comments below, because I can't really think of a good title right now. I'm just going to be calling this, as you guys see, Yu-Gi-Oh! Weekly, where I'm going to be taking one topic within the Yu-Gi-Oh! community that's on my mind, or that you guys may suggest, and I'm going to be expanding my thoughts and opinions on it to give you guys an overall view of how I look at it in general. So for this installment, I'm going to be talking about a topic that I know that a lot of YouTubers do feel very strongly about, but that I have a somewhat different take on. And it's the fact about how Konami, or how the players respond to degenerate cards in the community. Now, before we can get into that, I need to explain to you guys what degenerate cards are. So basically, if within the Yu-Gi-Oh community, degenerate cards, at least defined by a majority of people, are the kind of cards that promote an unhealthy game state, and that puts players in a position where they are not able to do a lot of the things that their deck has been designed to do. And there are obviously a lot of culprits within this game, considering the longevity of it. And throughout the years, Konami has been releasing a lot of different cards throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history that do promote this kind of game state. Actually, as of recently, the most common ones that come to mind right now are cards like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, True King of All Calamities, what else? Jet Synchron to a certain extent, and even cards like Max C, stuff like that. All those cards in general, players will recognize as degenerate cards. And for the vast majority of people, the way that they look at these kind of cards they're kind of being seen in a way wherein people just want them banned, they want them away, they don't want them within the game, because they just, at least in a competitive standpoint, they really put players in a position where they are not able to do much. They are just forced to go to game 2, find different outs to it, and then adjust their strategy onwards. And sometimes, in certain extents, they're even forced to deck build around these kind of cards in order to counter them entirely without making their deck unique to what they wanted it to be. They're now just forced to play around it and design it in a way wherein if it doesn't counter this one card, it's just, your deck is just not going to be playable. And the ones I mentioned here, to be fair, do kind of promote that to an extent. Some more than others. Like right now, that would the one that comes to mind right now would definitely have to be Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, because that card is just broken, it's messed up. And even though Konami had good intentions in mind with how it was designed, and how they wanted to make it have a feel for, you know, what it represents, because to be fair, obviously it's an anime card. They wanted to represent what Yugi and Joey's friendship in the anime were like. And I'm not saying that's bad, I'm not saying they're wrong about doing that, and I'm not saying that they're to blame for how they, design, because at the end of the day, they're the ones designing the cards. We aren't. We're just the ones here taking them and playing them to our heart's content. And the way that, at least in the YouTuber community and anyone else in the community in general, the way that they respond to these cards is that it's broken, it should not be here. When they see new cards come into the format like this, they're always just immediately asking the cards to be banned and out of the game entirely, so that they don't have to deal with it and make lives easier for them. I do not blame them for being this way. I do not think that they're completely in the wrong state of mind, and I can't really argue against the fact that these cards do not have problems, because obviously if you're not able to promote any kind of interactive game state with the player like in front of you or beside you, should not, you know, exist. Like the fact that people don't know how to like address I'm sorry, I'm getting lost for thoughts. Like the fact that people don't know how to play around some of these cards, and well, maybe not play around them, but like the fact that players do feel very strongly about how these cards interact with them throughout their whole game set and how they build their board. That's not my main problem. My main problem that I feel that a lot of people in the YouTuber community or anyone else in the community in general doesn't talk about is the fact about how it promotes and gives lower tier decks, or in our case like rogue tier decks, the kind of push and the edge they need in order to make themselves a competitively viable deck. Because what I feel, at least from all the articles and videos I watch all the time, the one thing I feel in order that a lot of decks share in common when they're trying to be competitively viable is that there needs to be at least one thing within their whole strategy, or one degenerate card in general, or one degenerate card that needs to be able to do something unfair in order to be competitively successful or viable. Because if your deck is just going to be fair and not be able to bring out something or have some sort of win condition in order to break what your opponent has already built, or tries to disrupt you during your own turn, then it's just not going to be completely successful. And that comes with a lot of controversy. Some people think that's a good thing, some people that's a bad thing. I'm not here to share where I stand on that point, because that's going to be for an entirely different video in general. But what I feel is the problem with a lot of YouTubers right now, anyone in general within our community, is the fact that they're not willing enough to acknowledge the fact about how helpful, how successful it can be with a rogue tier deck that needs that kind of extra push in order to be a competitively successful deck. Because a lot of things I hear from all the articles I read online is that when these kind of degenerate cards are played within their own top tier strategies, like right now that's Eldritch and Emancipator, when they're played there, it does not completely overtake their whole strategy. It's just something on top of their strategy that they can use in order to give their deck an extra push. It's not saying that it's necessary, it's not something that's part of their core strategy, it's just something that gives them an extra push and gives them a little bit more of an edge in order to make their board a little bit more overwhelming for your opponent. I'm not saying that's bad, I'm not saying they should do that, I'm not saying that every deck needs to be playing this kind of cards and promote this kind of game state all the time. That's not what I'm saying. The only thing I'm saying is that when these kind of cards in general are being splashed into their lower tier decks that don't have that kind of success, but still gives them some sort of win condition in order to make their opponent think twice about how they're going to build their board, then that's good. That gives decks like right now, like Magical Muskets, or like Crystal Beasts, or anything else, or like Zombies, or like anything else in general, anything low tier, it gives them more of an edge in order to compete with a different format, compete with the format that they're expected to face, and that's fine. Because when you take these degenerate cards out of the top tier strategies, like the ones I mentioned before, they're fine. They all work well. They all can still do what they do. Lich still has their traps. They still have their disruptions in the grave. They all can still reoccur themselves from the grave and all that stuff. Even if you wipe the whole back, and Emancipator still has a lot of their tools within their extra deck. They still have their own synchros and everything, and dinos still have, they still have Ultimate Conductor, Tyranno. They all have all these things. They still have a lot of things that they can still fall back to if these degenerate cards get addressed by Konami one way or another, whether they ban it, whether they limit it, whether it's time limited. These top tier decks still have a chance, have a place somewhere, whether it's top tier or low tier, in order to still succeed. The only people that aren't going to be affected by that point when Konami addresses these kind of cards, like right now, maybe something like Utopic Sexo, for example, when they hit cards like that, the top tier decks are already playing, they're not going to mind. They're not going to care as much. They're going to be, obviously, they're going to be extremely happy about that they're gone and that they have less things to worry about and less things to design their deck around. The only people that are going to be really affected by that are the lower tier decks that were incorporating these strategies that needed that edge in order to make their deck more viable. Because if something like Crystal Beast can incorporate something like a synchro engine in order to make an overly impressive board that ends on something like Warlord, Savage, and Herald of the Arclight, then that might give them the extra push to be more viable. Or even something like what I'm playing with right now, like my Magical Musketeers, where if they're not able to play something like a generic rank 4 engine with stuff like a Pistoler and Maguska, then they're not going to have that extra push they need in order to be more viable, or something like that. And that's kind of the thing that I feel a lot of YouTubers or a lot of people in general within our community do not address at all. Because usually when these kind of cards are getting announced, the mindset that people in the TCG go for when these new cards get announced and they see how broken they are, they get really excited, they feel really happy, they can't wait to get it. And then the pattern that I notice is that once they actually do get the cards, in order to play with these kind of strategies that help make them super broken and OP, that's when they start complaining. That's when they start saying stuff like, this should be gone, it's everywhere, no one should be playing this, why this card exists, why did Konami even build it? That's kind of the pattern I'm seeing with a lot of these cards. And this is for a completely different story. And this kind of mindset that people in the TCG have, it might be done sometime in the future in a different video. But in general, the thing that I'm trying to get across right now, it is really the fact that if degenerate cards within the game are here trying to have some sort of small purpose in helping rogue decks succeed in a much competitive environment, then that's good. That helps a lot, and that gives these lower tier decks more of a chance to be able to succeed and help make the meta a little bit more diverse. Because at the end of the day, that's what a lot of people want in the format. Well, a majority of them. Some don't really want a majority. Some people don't want a diverse format. Others just want decks to be completely known. They want decks to be linear, and some people don't enjoy a diverse format because of the fact that they have to design their decks to cater to a lot of different strategies. Others like it when it's just defined by 1 or 2 or 3 decks that they're going to compete. That's also for a completely different story. I'm not going to get into that right now. But what I feel that Konami should be doing in order to make these strategies more more fair, or like in order to address these kind of concerns that a majority of the Yu-Gi-Oh players have within our community, is something that I cannot come up with, because I'm not the one that designed these cards. I'm not the one that helps gives Konami ideas in order to like promote how their cards are gonna impact the metagame. Because at the end of the day, Konami's not only here to cater to the competitive audience, they have to cater to a lot of different people, including collectors, including casual players, and everyone else in between. They're not only here for us, they're not only here to cater to how people in the competitive landscape play. They have a much bigger audience to always cater to, and we can't always look from it from the perspective of a competitive standpoint about how they design their cards. Because if it just works for us and doesn't work for anyone else in general, then from a business standpoint, that's not really going to do a whole lot, because the market is not here just for competitive players. It's here for everyone. It's here for collectors. It's here for casuals. It's here for competitive players. It's there for each and everyone who has something within the game that they can turn their eyes to and, you know, enjoy. They're not just here for competitive players. They're here for a much bigger audience that their business model needs to cater to and entertain to, not just people who play at YCS or at regionals. I don't know how Konami could address this. That is something that they might have to sit down and figure out on their own. But I highly doubt they're going to be watching this in order to gain more ideas on that. But that's just kind of how I feel about where Degenerate cards stand. I'm not saying they should be all at 3. I'm not saying they should all live. I'm not saying that every deck should not be playing them and that we should have a really stale, fair format. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if you take away from the fact that these Degenerate cards help out lower tier decks and do not make much of an impact within top tier decks, that's just the point that I'm trying to get across. And I hope that that is something that Konami could address something in the future, whether that means making less OP cards, or banning more cards, or, you know, designing them in a way that don't promote this kind of game state. That is totally up to them. I am not in charge of that. I'm not gonna get in the way of trying to address how Konami would address these kind of problems. But that's just how I feel about some of these Degenerate cards that I don't feel gets shed enough light within our community. Either way, guys, those are just my thoughts on the Degenerate cards within Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really hope you guys enjoy it. I'm sorry if I made a little bit of a redundancy within this video. I'm just kind of lost for words. I don't really know how to really address these kind of points within a community that doesn't involve me sugarcoating what everyone else is saying, because this is just how I feel at this point. But definitely let me know, guys, in the comments below how you guys feel about this, and definitely give this video a thumbs up or dislike it if you didn't, and share it with your friends so that they're going to be, you know, updated on how I feel, or if you feel that my opinion might mean something to them. I would love to get a discussion going right now on this video and see where you guys stand on this. And yeah, guys, if you guys do enjoy my content and do want to see more videos like this, definitely subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you guys don't miss out anytime I upload videos. And that's gonna be, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is Degenerate 45 signing off.